sports cars. In this episode of Diary of a Porsche Specialist, I'm going to talk about the 991 series 911s, and I'm going to specifically talk about how the Targa compares to the Coupe, and actually essentially a way of getting the some of the Targa experience for a little bit cheaper. So here I've got a 2014, well actually I think it's a late 2013 991 Carrera 4S Coupe. And here I've got a 2014 Targa 4. So they're both the four-wheel drive version. This one's got the smaller engine. This is the 3.4 flat 6. And this one is the 3.8 litre flat 6. This is essentially as new as I go. So I go up to 2015, possibly 2016, depending on when these are registered. 991 Gen 1s. They're non-turbo, so they don't suffer any of the issues that the later Gen 2 cars suffer, the 3 litre turbos. The turbo units have a whole host of issues with them, so I tend to avoid those and just go for the last of the flat 6 normally aspirated cars. So this one's finished in basalt black metallic. It's got 50,000 miles on the clock. This one has got 3,000 miles on the clock. So yeah, big difference in mileage. Both have a full Porsche history. That one's still under warranty. Now with the Targa Roof, that's what really makes this car. They're both, because they're both the all-wheel drive ones, they have the band there, which does actually light up. Hopefully, oh no, maybe if I get the key. Well, first of all, actually, let me show you the keys. So there is a difference in the keys. So here I've got the Targa key. So it has an extra button for the Targa Roof. And this is the Coupe. So they've got the first three are the same. You can open the front boot, which has lots of luggage space, unlock and lock the cars, but this one actually lets you operate the roof. Now I wanted to show you the rear light bar. So when you go to unlock, so it's got that, I love it, when you have the side lights on or headlights on, that's all lit up. And it's the same with the 4S Coupe as well. That was a new addition when they launched the 991 to light that up. The previous 997 Gen 2, which I'll show you here, did have a central rear reflector, but it didn't light up. And that was new, and that was just for the 4S. So this is a Carrera. It doesn't have that, it just has the boot lid. So going back to these, the real feature of this car is the roof, which I can operate through the key fob as well as with the buttons inside the car. So that bit lifts up. You can also see where you top up the coolant and the oil there. You've got that nice little place where the roof stows, and then this goes back in. And then you have that open air experience. So you've still got the security of feeling like you're within the cabin, because you've got this aluminium look roll hoop. You've got this unique to the Targa rear windscreen, which sort of curves round. It's heated as well. Beautiful shape from the back. And also from the side, it's got that iconic 80s Targa look, which had a real aluminium rollover hoop. And the middle section, which you saw fold into there, that was manually removable and stowable in the car, so you could sort of take it off while you were out on the road and still have it in the car. Now the Coupe obviously doesn't have such a fancy roof, but my sort of suggestion for if you want to save a bit of money, and we're talking about over £10,000, Targas do demand a premium, and they get that premium. They're very low numbers. I've just heard from a customer who's bought this one that Porsche have a 2-year waiting list for just Targas and about a 1-year list for coupes. So that is a big demand, low production, but a cheaper alternative is to get a coupe like this, but have it spec'd. So obviously find one, obviously second hand now because they're not in production anymore, with the Pano roof. So it has that glass section there. Yes, it doesn't go all the way to the edge, but it's pretty much the same distance. It does put extra light in the cabin. And if I open that, It's actually very much like the 997 Targas, and I'll show you a quick video of that in action. So as you can see, with the 997 Targas, the 996 and the 993s, they had a glass panel, which was this section here. It would drop and it would fold in to the rear section. With this one here, let me just turn it on. There we go. It actually goes outwards, but it does open. So you do get that open air. Try and see. It does look a bit precarious there. It does look like it can sort of shake off, but no, it's very solid. So you kind of get a bit of an open air experience. You get more light in the cabin. Actually more light than you would in the Targa with the roof up, because obviously that's a fabric roof. It's not actually glass. This one's glass, so you can actually see. Earlier cars, 2012s, you could get a metal roof, which folded, which was, I think it was slightly smaller actually. But actually these bits, so if it was a different colour, so this is basalt black, this bit is actually a sort of like a polished plastic. So it would have a contrast between, say if you had a white here, it would have the black there still. And it's same on this back section here, which I'll show you when I shut the roof. So that was kind of give you the open air experience for a lot cheaper. I mean, in terms of spec and things, you can have the same performance engines in both. You can have all the same options, so like PASM, Sport Chrono, and all the other bits, cruise control, PDS lights, like this one's got. You can have all of that stuff in the Targa. The big difference between the two is the weight. So obviously, because of this one has the roof mechanism, it weighs around, I think it's 80 or 90 kilos more in whatever spec you get. So it's like for like, it's about that. From the factory sites, I think it says it's 1,560 kilos. This is 1,465-ish. Obviously, it depends on what options. Bose is heavier than the normal sound system, sound package plus. Likewise, seats make a big difference. If you've got the full electric 14-way or 18-way seats, they're going to be a lot more than the 4-way seats that come as standard in both of these cars. So I'll just, width-wise they're the same. So because of the wide body, they have that strip. They're also the wide body, as in the wheel arches stick out. That is 4.4 centimeters wider than a non-4-wheel drive Carrera. So if you had you can't actually get a Targa without 4-wheel drive, I don't think. It was only available in Targa 4 and 4S, and then you had the GTS versions of it. So Targa GTS 4S. Sometimes get confused with model designations because there's so many and they vary with the different models. Other things to note, I guess, is this one has some more sportier options. So it has the sport design steering wheel. It also has cruise control. It has the sports exhaust. As I mentioned, it has this roof, which is also, you can have it on tilt. So it's one touch operation, and then you can have it just set so it's got the back edge open. And that's that black plastic that I was talking about. That would be a contrast. If the car was, say, red, white, silver, blue, you would have that section essentially blacked out like that, which I think looks quite nice and kind of does look like the earlier Targas, 997, 996, 993, as I said. They all had this panel here that's sort of stowed within the car, which I showed you earlier. Going back to options, it also has sports exhaust. They're both PDKs. They both have sat nav and things like that. This one has Bose as well, folding mirrors with when you have the folding mirrors, they could also be spec'd with LEDs, so welcome LEDs. I don't know if that will work. That's open. I think I'm confusing things now, so there we go. So yeah, there's the LEDs lit up. Obviously different wheels. This has got 20-inch They're known as the Carrera S wheels. Whereas this one has 19-inch, and they're called the Carrera wheels. So they were the standard wheels on the non-S models. So the Targa 4, Carrera 4, this would be a standard fit option. And then on the inside, this does just open without catching that car. It has the different seats. So these are the 4-way electric sport seats. The others were the 4-way electric comfort sports plus seats. It has the folding mirrors, but it doesn't have bows, so it doesn't have that little tab there. It has all the same buttons, except it doesn't have sports exhaust. It doesn't have heated seats. The other one had heated seats there, but it has all the sat nav and everything set up, DAB, as well as an option. But it has this different steering wheel. So this is the multi-function steering wheel. So it has buttons for the stereo PCM system, as well as sort of rocker switches for the PDK. So yeah, both are very nice. It just shows you that you can change quite a bit on these cars to make them suit. Also, actually, that's a standard door entry guard, so it has the aluminium with the model designation. So that's obviously Targa 4 there. Whereas this one, I don't know if I can get this door open very far, has carbon of the same, but with Carrera 4S, obviously, because that's what it is. Full-size paddles on that sport design steering wheel you can see there, and those are the 4-way electric sports plus seats, and they've also been optioned with the embossed headrests, which you could get in any of the seat options. It's also got red seat belts to sort of finish the look off. Just close that. The other benefit of this, I've got to do it from the other side. The other benefit of having the Carrera 4S with the Pano roof, or any actually coupe with the Pano roof, is you do have the choice to black it out as well. So if I just close that, you have a blind here which basically masks it out from the inside. So if it is too bright and sunny for you, you can have that. So it has all, I would say, most of the structural rigidity of the non-sunroof panoramic roof optioned coupes, but it has that sort of open air experience as well. So it's kind of a best of both worlds. You have less, and also the other difference between this and the Targa 4 is if you want to top up the oil or coolant, you just lift. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just this small flap, but you have that flap. There's the 2. In this one, there is no area that's cut away to fold up. It's all part of that. So when you go to open it, it actually lifts just to check the oil, well, to top up the oil or the coolant. It lifts that whole section up and holds it there. So you've got that whole bit open. Actually, when you open this, also, you've got to watch out for things behind the car. It does stick out quite a bit behind the car. You can only do it while stationary as well. So there's those 2 same bits. There's all the fans and stuff. It's all hidden, but it does have the model designation and things like that. So it says Targa 3.4 there. So that's quite a difference, I think, between the 2. So there's me closing that. There we go, that's all closed. So yeah, as I said, that roof can only be operated while stationary. This roof can be operated at speed. I don't know off the top of my head what speed. I know the convertible can be up to 40 miles an hour, so I'm guessing that's at least 40 miles an hour. It's quite a nice contrast having these 2 cars in such different colours. I'll just show you one other thing that's quite nice on this one. Well, 2 things actually. One is this one from the factory had an exclusive order for privacy glass at the rear. So I quite often see it with the coupes that people tint these rear windows. This one had it from the factory, and it does sort of make it look very nice. with the satin platinum wheels, all black paintwork, with the black Pano roof as well. Very nice options. And then the other bit which is quite nice is these, they're called Black Edition Pdls dynamic cornering lights. So these were quite an expensive option. So the standard light looks very similar, but it's in a lighter grey. And these, I think these are non-PDLS, so they don't this bit doesn't rotate. Whereas in these ones, this bit rotates as you go around corners. So that's a nice subtle option to, again, make it look that little bit more in keeping with the rest of the black, the triple black look of that one. This one I think is more sort of like a conservative and sort of understated, classy 911. Obviously the white paintwork is a dead giveaway, but other than that, it's not too shouty. It's just sort of like the classic look 911. And with just 3,000 miles on the clock from the 2014 is just unreal. Still under Porsche warranty, always been serviced at Porsche. It's a very special car and no doubt will be cherished for the rest of its days. This one is more you can use. This, as I said, it's just done under 50,000 miles. Both have just, this one's just had a major service with Porsche Care. So it's all ready to go for the next 2 years. I thought it was best to do a short driving segment of this review, just so I could talk about generally how the Targas drive versus the Coupes. So as I said earlier, well, it's got start-stop, so that's just turn the engine off, turn the stereo off. You have to have the car stationary to do the roof. It's not a particularly bright day today, but having the roof down is still a benefit on something like a Targa, because you've still got that in-cabin experience with the roof down, having that sort of like rear section all enclosed. The convertibles also do that. If you have the wind deflector, you do feel quite safe and the air's not buffeting around you too much, even in the convertible. So I'm just coming out my premises now. Now for me, the Targa isn't about all-out performance, and that's why I think this spec is so nice. It's what I'd call a base model Targa. So it's a Targa 4, which is essentially the lowest power option that you could get on this car. It's 345 horsepower, and it's the 3.4 flat six. The S model and the GTS model have the 3.8 flat six. In S guys, it produces 400 horsepower, so 55 more than this car. The difference is, I mean, 0 to 60 doesn't really matter in a car like this, but it does 60 in 5 seconds, which is plenty, I think. It's plenty for overtaking, it's plenty for motorways. It's still sports car standard. The S models will do it in, depending on whether it's got chrono or not, and PDK obviously, it will do 60 in 4.4 or under. So if it's got the PDK with Sport Chrono Plus, it will do it around 4 seconds, I believe. So it's quite a bit quicker than this, but essentially you don't really need that power. You don't need that speed, because this car is all about enjoying the sort of open air experience. Well, that's my opinion anyway. As I said when I was walking around the cars, the weight is a little bit more. It's around 80 to 100 kilos depending on what spec you've gone for. You don't really feel it though. It doesn't feel more cumbersome on the road. I would just say at sort of like high speeds, in corners you'll notice the weight a little bit more, and you'll notice a tiny amount of vibration from the chassis. But again, it's not like a bathtub with wheels. It is very structurally rigid. I'm using the microphone rather than the sound on the GoPro, but I'll try switching to if I switch now to the sound in the GoPro, you can maybe hear the wind noise better. get a feel of how much noise there is. But I mean, my hair's not moving around. I mean, I'm doing 30 here. You can comfortably do 60, 70 miles an hour with the roof down as well. I'll switch back to the normal microphone now. Just waiting for some cars to come through. People are in, a lot of owners of these cars turn off start stop as soon as they get in them, because it does sort of hamper your progress if you're in traffic a lot. Sometimes it's a little bit slow to get started. I find it's okay actually, especially in this car. You're not in a particular rush at any point. It's just a lovely drive. They have the electromechanical steering, just like all the other 991s, which this has. There's two grades of steering system. I think there's Servotronic and Servotronic Plus. This has got the standard system, so the Plus system lightens up even more at low speeds, I believe. This one feels still quite weighty, and manoeuvring is still perfectly fine, but you do notice that it does firm up at speed, and it does on the Servotronic Plus. I've had that on a Carrera S, I think, 991. So this car is just incredible. I mean, it's just covered, it's just over 3,200 miles from new. It's 2014. I don't think it's been run in the wet at all. I've deliberately not run it in the wet. I picked it up in the dry as well, and it's been indoors the whole time it's been with me. All of the underside is like new. It's such a lovely car. But for this kind of driving in the countryside, it is a hard to beat experience, because it is very solid. It's got just enough power. It's responsive. The PDK is a sensational box for in both guises. I mean, this car's got the multifunction steering wheel. This one wasn't designed to sort of like change gears. It can do, but it hasn't got the paddles that you'd want if you were wanting to change gears all the time in manual mode. It's got the little the rocker switches, so push away for you to go up a gear, pull back to go down a gear. And in auto, it's very responsive. It sort of adapts to how you want to drive. Over bumps. So this car, so being a Targa 4 rather than a 4S or a GTS, it comes from standard with smaller wheels. You could option bigger wheels, of course, and you could retrofit bigger wheels, but this comes as standard with 19s with quite a chunky sidewall. So even though it's a smaller wheel, 19s, the tyres sort of make up that extra distance. So the rolling distance is the same as with the 20. So as a result, you've got more sidewalls, so it absorbs bumps a lot better. This car was spec'd with PASM, which I believe was optional on the Targa 4. I think it's included in the 4S sort of standard options. So this one was spec'd with it. It was also spec'd with a couple of other nice things like tyre pressure monitoring, which I've got on at the moment, and DAB radio, which is another option. I think they should have made that standard, but yeah, anyway, it's on there. And yeah, it's in a lovely colour, Carrera white metallic. Carrera white, I should say, not Carrera. Carrera white is actually, you can get Carrera white marble as well. And it's all named after the Carrara mountain range in Italy. So it's not Carrera, 911 Carrera with an E, it's with an A. And it's not related to the Carrera name that Porsche use. As I say, I just really love how these cars drive. It's fast enough, it doesn't ever feel too fast. I mean, if you put your foot down, it does really go. I'll just do it now. So that's just leaving it in auto, and you just put your foot down and it just takes off. So yeah, it's more than fast enough. It's got a great sound, even with the standard exhaust. Hopefully you can hear it on the microphone, but it's just perfect because you haven't got the enclosed roof. You do hear more of the exhaust noise, so you don't actually need a louder exhaust to compensate for the insulation that you get from the Coupe. So it's a beautiful drive. So I'm delivering this car today to the new owner, who's based in Norfolk. He's very happy. It's his first Porsche, and it's going to be very much cherished for a long time, I think. He was basically told that there's a 2-year waiting list on a new Targa, and that prices are around £130,000 plus. So this at mid-80s was a huge saving on basically a new 911 Targa. He also didn't, and I tend to agree with him, is he didn't like the fact that the new 992s essentially have digital dials. They don't have analog needles, and for a lot of people that is a deal breaker. It doesn't feel like a car unless it's got the sort of dials with numbers. Yes, it can computerize them, but it's still not the same as having the actual physical needles and the dials. And I think this is a nice balance, because it has one screen which has got the LCD panel which you can change the view of. I think it's got quite a few different screens, 6 or 7 different screens, so you can have everything from a map to your details of your trip, so how economical you've been, distance travel, that kind of thing. Tyre pressure monitoring, because this one's spec with tyre pressure monitoring. With the 4-wheel drive ones, like all of the Targas, it has the all-wheel drive distribution, so it has a graph which updates on the fly with where power's being directed front and rear as a percentage. And then you've got a vital statistics which you can actually edit what you see on that, but most people tend to have oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature and battery voltage on that screen. If it had Sport Chrono, which it doesn't, you can have the chrono clock there as well as on the dash, and you could also have it has a G meter as well, so you can see your current G's in 4 directions, forward, back and left to right, but also the maximum G's you've achieved, and you can reset that to see if you can be on the car like this. That's pretty much wasted, because I mean, I can't imagine many people taking a Targa onto the circuit. You're more likely to take the Coupe. Just enjoying being behind the wheel of this car. I mean, under trees, you get to see the trees above. You feel much more involved with your surroundings in either the convertible or the Targa, but the Targa is sort of that, just feels a little bit safer, I'd say, with the hoop just behind you. And also it looks great from the outside. In this video I thought I'd also do a quick driving experience in the 991 4S with the panoramic roof. First of all, with the roof all closed, so it's with the electric blind also closed, so it's as dark as it can be. The exhaust, the sports exhaust is on. You can still hear it obviously, but everything is muted compared to if you had the roof down in the Targa or in a convertible or with the roof open. So I'll open the blind now, so you will see the light difference hopefully change. I mean, it is a tinted panoramic roof, so it may not make a huge difference, but it does, looking out, there's a lot more light, there's a lot more you can see, so it just feels immediately more airy with just having that blind open. And that difference over a coupe without the panoramic roof, that does make a difference, I think. Right, I'll put the tilt open, so that lets a bit more sound in, so it does get a bit louder. And then I'll open it fully. So hopefully the top of the screen also shows it opening, and that it is open now. So this is much more like how the previous generation 997s, the 996s, and even the 993s, how their Targa Roof open. Yes, they open a bit more because this one doesn't open as far back as theirs did, but it's still sort of the same experience because you have that glass roof which is open with still the solid beams down the side. Is phenomenal at speed in sport mode. Just love how it drives and how it sounds with the sport button, with the sports exhaust open. It's just sensational. It's so alive. The Targa's a completely different driving style. It just feels more relaxed, more laid back. It means you can enjoy. And this kind of is still that sort of ferocious 911, 991 series feel, but with the added roof open. It isn't ever uncomfortable. I mean, there was no buffeting at all up to the 60 miles an hour I just did. So I can't see it being an issue at higher speeds either. Try and turn around now because I'm behind some traffic. And this hopefully will demonstrate how good the turning circle is. Oh, it's fantastic. There we go. Downshifts are so addictive. It's a brilliant drive, this car. Perfect balance, poise, sounds. All the controls are just there with the sport design steering wheel and the PDK. You can hear the cackles of the exhaust on downshifts. It's so composed. You don't ever feel like you're pushing it too far with the 400 horsepower. Just unbelievable speed. And that panoramic roof just makes, I don't know, it just makes it a more enjoyable experience because you get to hear the wind rushing past, but not in an obtrusive way. So that's my little video on the differences between the two, the Targa and the Coupe, and how also you can save a bit of money potentially and just find a Coupe with the glass panoramic roof, and you can still have some of the open air driving experience. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please don't hesitate to comment below and obviously subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.